Hey, it is Monday morning, and there's nothing like an Onshape update to get us into the swing of things. Good morning, Richard.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you today?
Good, good. Just having my morning coffee. Enjoyed getting ready for the show here. A lot of good stuff to take a look at to kick our week off in a strong way and a strong May. You know, it's May 1st. Happy May.
All right. Yep. Happy May Day. I guess people can probably guess why I'm so excited about this release. Right?
How many drawings updates are there?
There are a ton of drawing updates this time, and it's just amazing. Just fantastic stuff. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's say hi to anybody on the call here. Hey, Tall Toby. How's it going? Nice to see you. Definitely don't be shy, everybody. You know, if you have any comments, this is an open show, right? You know, we kind of go down the path that makes sense at the time. We'll explore the new features together. I've had the privilege of looking at some of these features, of course, as well, making a few of the videos here. But it's always fun to go through them live for the first time on the production stack, right?
So, there you go.
Well, let's I mean, there are a number of cool things that I've been looking forward to for a long time. A few of the things data management wise, I think, this release is very strong because of the workflows that are enabled. So if I looked at data management for like what we included in this update, I'm just as excited as how many drawings improvements there are for you, Richard, because on the data management side, the PCB Studio, with its ability to update the assembly instead of creating a new PCB assembly, that's very good for data management, and I'll explain why. The labels, something I've been looking forward to for a long time, and the way I use Onshape, this is going to work perfectly, and I'll explain. I saw a few comments in the forum, and I want to address those head on, right? Because there's some stuff from perhaps the past that we're rolling into future thinking that doesn't make sense. So I just want to go through thinking. And then the other thing on data management is publications, being able to create those things on Android and iOS. It just opens the world of publications up more, because publications are really useful for design reviews and sharing with people on the outside. And the more devices you can address, the better, right? So I'll show you a little workflow of how I've been using publications for agile design review meetings. So I'll kind of show you how that works. Hopefully I can figure out how to get my my iPad hooked up to the screen here so I can do it in the iPad itself. But if not, I'll show you the other method. Well, let's say hello to everybody else joining in. Hey, and we should also welcome Sebastian for his great work on the Chat GPT. Let's start with that, Sebastian. Now let's actually go down to the comments here, because I loved your
I've actually got it here, Mike.
You got it? All right.
Yeah. here's just one little selection from Sebastian's comments this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I love Sebastian's comments.
Let's see. Yep. He does like the new render studio as well.
Yeah, that was a fun little thing. We print so many parts nowadays. I mean, why not make your part look exactly like it, right?
I'll have to be honest though. I kind of chuckled when I saw that, because for years and years, I started in the 3D printing business back in the 90s, and for years and years, surface finish has always been the big bugaboo of 3D printing, and how we've been trying to eliminate that, and now we come out with a texture that
no, complete opposite. Going, taking sandpaper and doing the opposite thing to it.
Yep. But no, I got to admit though, it's really cool, and I can't wait to use it. So
yeah, it does look wicked cool. If you have any kind of extrusion FDM style printer, it's gonna look like it. Hello, Deddy, and hello, Jose. Good morning.
And LinkedIn user has joined us again.
Yes.
Always glad to see LinkedIn user.
Yes, absolutely. So let's scroll right back up here to the top. I'm jumping into the deep end of the pool. We're gonna jump into the deep end of the pool on the first thing that we're gonna talk about on the PCB Studio improvement. So anybody with Onshape Professional or Enterprise gets PCB Studio. And just to remind everybody, PCB Studio is your de facto kind of way of handling PCB data in Onshape, I think. And it's the best workflow because it allows you to import just what you need, for the mechanical design, right? If you think about circuit boards and you think about mechanical CAD, there are certain components on that board that are very important that interface with housings and USB ports or whatever it might be, standoffs, hardware. And there are other parts like, resistors and small chips and things like that, just need to be represented by a rectangle for heat purposes or for visual look and feel. So what PCB Studio does is takes all that representative data from the systems like Altium, right? You think about Altium. In Altium, you're not doing boundary rep like physical like modeling of each individual resistor on there. It's a representation, a graphical representation with a 2D and a 3D footprint. And what Onshape is going to do with PCB Studio is there is like a room in your house to work in, and you're going to invite the PCB in from Altium, and then Onshape is, you're going to publish the PCB in the Onshape. That's one workflow. And then you're going to make your changes, add, all the parts. So let me just show you what happens, right? So here I am. I have, let's see here. Did I lose my housing? Where'd my housing go? There's my housing. All right. Let me just fix this. I was just whipping some stuff up in place here just because actually, let me delete that. I had it hidden. That was the issue. All right. So we're going to just group these two things together. I don't know why I probably got some kind of mate that I've overdefined in here somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, there it
oh,
is.
yeah, I see it. I got two. Yeah, I've really hosed myself here this morning. But anyway, I have the circuit board. I have my housing. I've already brought it in from my circuit board application because I opened up PCB Studio and imported, the circuit board in IDF format, EMN and EMP file. So it came in, and you can see what I have here. If I hide this, it looks different than what I have over here. I had two small chips, and the shape of the board is also slightly different. I just in the board, you see it's slightly longer. If I look at it in the context, you can see actually that one's a different one. So bad example. Let me go in and import or export again. So let's assume that I've imported this from Altium again. This is version 2 of the board.
Changes.
Right? The changes. And I am going to create an assembly again in Onshape for this, but now the ability exists to update the existing assembly. So this means you can continue the assembly moving forward, right? You're going to push your changes forward, and it's going to update this assembly instead of creating a new assembly tab, and then you'd have to replace it in the upper level assembly. This way, you don't have to do that replace option. It's just the data management flow is much better. Right?
It makes perfect sense. Yep.
Right. So that's really what this improvement is all about. So if you're doing this all the time, this is a massive improvement because you're not going to have to do that replace thing. If you're doing step imports or importing the full detailed board, I encourage you not to. I hear customers, that do that sometimes, and this has been, an issue as old as time. I've been selling and supporting CAD and circuit board interaction, type technology for a long time. And this is the big mistake I think people make is like over importing circuit board data into the MCAD, because the MCAD is working to 8 decimal place, parasol, you got like, the B-rep, detailed model. And that is just, it's not necessary. to have in the MCAD side. The ECAD and the MCAD BOM pulling together in a PLM or in the ECAD BOM is typical. And then in Onshape, the MCAD side, you're typically calling that circuit board out as one line item in your board. You're not managing the BOM. I mean, everybody has a different workflow here, right? But I just want to say this is what works for 99.9% of people is what I'm talking about here.
And I don't disagree one bit, but I'm one of those guys that likes those detailed PCBs. But
yeah,
then again, I'm not creating big, huge machinery and big, huge assemblies. So
yeah, it's important to think about what's really required because you're looking at multiple representations, like a funhouse mirror, if you will, right? You have you see what you see in the MCAD system, you see what you see in the ECAD system. And each system is designed a certain way to handle graphic data in a certain way. And just keep that in mind.
And the simple fact that they work together, that's what's important.
Right. That's what PCB Studio is doing. It's the middleman that helps keep the two ECAD and MCAD land happy and coexisting, essentially.
Hey, John McClary has joined us this morning. Hello, John. Lewis is here with us too.
John. Lewis,
and look,
nice to see you.
And it looks like we've got somebody that wants to be our agent. Provocativa Hiva. Thanks for the offer, but I think we're going to go ahead and pass this time.
well, welcome to the show, though. All right. So let's keep going. Revisions, part numbers, assembly lists. This is going to be some good stuff. I'll do this one live. So let's go to my main documents here. Let's open up our trusty throttle here.
We love the throttle.
Yeah, and you can see what's kind of appeared here on my screen is some labels, that announce some important information. And the way I work with Onshape, this is perfect. Okay. The way I work in Onshape is I name my parts the description, right? And I've done that from day one in Onshape just because the reason why people use part numbers, I think, a lot for file names is because of it's a unique item. It's a unique number. And, everything in a folder on your C drive, if you create things as a part number and then you export it and share it with other people, they don't have to have access to the central database. They don't have to. So a lot of companies have standardized on using part number as a quote unquote file name or a document name, whatever it is, right? In Onshape, I didn't see that constraint, right? Because we're dealing with a database, and when you export data now, you can export with rules that will export with the file or the part number, or description, or release, or anything you want. So, like, to me, and this is just one way, and I'm probably starting a huge debate by even talking about this, but I like to call my parts out as the descriptive name, and then let Onshape assign the part number for me, right? So that's just the way I feel like it flows the easiest in Onshape. So that's why I do it that way. I understand if you have to do it another way because your systems are set up to do different things, but I think the best way in my mind in the flow is to call things out as the descriptive name because Onshape can assign a part number. So with that, all that said, now we have these beautiful labels in a nice color that pops, that shows you the status of your items. So I've inserted a released throttle body in here at Rev A. And by the way, you can hover over that. You can see Rev D is the latest one, it looks like. If I let's see, I probably have what else do I have? I have Rev A over here. We have released information. So you can see it scrolls. You can drill right in. These two configured items I've left in progress. I've left them as configurations. But of course, I could replace those with released items as well if I were to browse into where these things are located, right? So So all of that is here at your fingertips now, which is really nice. You can turn this on and off. I can hide and show the instance list properties. And you can also make this a default setting in your account profile. Under preferences, you will see display instance list properties. So, you can have that on as well. So being able to hide and show that is nice. And also filtering it is a very, very nice thing to do. Like, let's say I'm looking for part number, I have the part number in front of me for one of my parts, and it has 0026 in it. So if I hit this filter icon here, look what I have here. This list is growing of filters that I can look into, like finding anything in a folder or finding that's something that's hidden, right? I want to find something with a part number that has 026 in it. Oh, maybe not. 2466. Let's do that. 2466. And there we are. So it found, a portion of that, and it's highlighting this. Of course, I could isolate it, see it by itself. So very nice to be able to kind of filter in the things you're interested in. Now I could say I want to show all of my, parts that are at Rev A, right?
Nice.
Those are all my parts that are I'm using at Rev A right now. So pretty cool to be able to see that information. You can also hit this little button here if you haven't seen it before. It just kind of gives it to you as a flat list instead.
Oh, that's nice.
If you don't like seeing the indented kind of representation with folders and subassemblies. All right. So this is good because now I can really hone in on and understand exactly what's going on. Of course, we had the little symbol here before showing if something was a revision or whatever, but this shows you the actual state at a glance. And then, this kind of rolls into, let's take a look at a few of the notes or comments here, because there's a bunch of notes coming in here. Let's, first of all, say hi to a couple new folks. Let's see. Byron, how are you doing, Brian? Byron, I'm going to answer that question shortly. Does SolidWorks or does Onshape? I see SolidWorks tree here by John. So yeah, that makes sense. And then does Onshape have workflow functionality? So yes, it does. So that's why I'm able to show released and in progress. So if I were to, release this assembly, let's say where we're at right now, right? I can look at its revision history and see that this top level assembly has not been released yet. So I can release this using our workflow. And Onshape Professional and Enterprise comes with workflow, okay? And Enterprise, you can have multiple workflows, and Professional, you can have one workflow for releasing things and obsoleting things. So like here's an enterprise workflow for a big NPI, release process, right? And here's just the standard one, which works for 95% of people, right? Yep. Just pushing through and letting somebody approve them something. So I can create release packages right here, and I'm releasing the assembly for the first time with this item number right here. And then I'll release that under change order 2431A, and I'm going to self-approve it, but I could have anybody approve it and put some notes in here, but I'll hit release just so we're at the released version of the assembly, right?
So
and
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So yes, Byron, Onshape does have workflow functionality. What it does not have is a capital S in the middle, though.
I know. Sometimes our marketing people get a little sensitive. But let's see here. Here's the released version of the assembly now, right? Showing me that I'm using Rev A of all the parts at that particular assembly. So it's pretty nice to see that. And I can look at the Rev history now, see that it was released at Rev A, view that release package at any time, view any of the parts, and even export the parts, at those revisions here, which kind of comes into one of the next updates that I'm going to go through. And by the way, right, Byron, the workflow is robust. I mean, we have, major corporations, using this workflow. system, right? You know, it's the modern workflow system. So anyway, let's export some data now. So sometimes you want to export data for a variety of reasons, right? Even you know, Onshape's a beautiful system. It's a beautifully built data management platform with the release management built in and view and share. But you do need to export a file every so often for manufacturing, for sharing with a vendor that needs that extra file or whatever it is. So the more you can use the data coming out of the system to name those files, the less of a chance you're going to have of sending somebody the wrong part, right? So let's export. Let's go to the tab manager. I think this is the best way of exporting multiple things. I don't have any drawings in here too. Let me just create a quick drawing of our favorite part in the forms that people like to, let's see, p-size custom. Let's see what that looks like. Let's do a different one actually. Just do normal B size. So I'll make a drawing of that. I'll make a drawing while it's making a drawing of that. I'll make a drawing of the assembly, only in Onshape.
Only in Onshape. Isn't that cool?
Right. And I'll go back to the assembly and make a drawing of that trumpet left-hand version. All right, so I just to make a few drawings, just so we have like a bunch of drawings, a bunch of assemblies, and a bunch of, you know, other things, right? So there's a quote form type drawing. Here's my assembly drawing. Maybe because, you know, it's an assembly, I will stick a bill of materials here as well.
There you go. While you were doing that, Eduardo joined us.
Eduardo. Buenos tardes. All right. Show hide, show shaded view. All right. So we got a few drawings. That's all I'm looking for.
Great.
So these drawings, I want to, and these drawings haven't been released yet, by the way. So let's actually release these as well. So I'll just go to this assembly. We'll release. Because I want to get some release data, you know, to work with. I'll add the other drawings to this release package as well, which is something that yeah, you can create one release package with those 3 drawings, and I'm going to tell it not to uprev anything that doesn't need to be uprevved. It can check the dirty flag, and you know, we don't need to uprev each of the parts. All I did was make drawings of those items, but I'll give them unique item numbers. I tell it to pull the, my setting for that is to give the drawing numbers the same number as the part. It automatically did that, right? Because that's the Onshape part number. Yeah. We'll say COD for drawing. I'll release that. I'm creating a release package for those 3 drawings. So now those drawings are also released at Rev A. So nice to be able to do this kind of stuff. So there's my release package for the models, and there's my release package for the drawings in my version tree. So now I'll go back to the drawings. By the way, you can filter right here are my drawings. I'm going to export these drawings. And I want to export these drawings, you know, as PDF, let's say. And I want export rules to the contents of this package. So I'm going to call this drawings package for throttle. Think of this as like the title, because you're creating a zip file, right? And I'm telling it to be a PDF. I'm going to download these, but you notice you can store these in cloud storage. You can store it as a tab in your document, email it to somebody with a download link. I'm just gonna download it now because I want to show you the contents of it, and I want to look at my file export rules first. All right, so if I have a part and it's an STL, I'm labeling it like that because I have a Formlabs machine. If I have a drawing, I'm getting the part number I'm getting the name of the part and I'm putting the rev in it. If I'm going to PDF, I'm going to add another export rule for assemblies, because I know I have a few assemblies. If it has a category of assembly and I export it as a parasolid, I want this, instead of saying name. Oh, sorry, let me get rid of my Grammarly little thing here. I'm going to just type in part number. I called it SKU. That's right, in this account. And I put in $. And if I want the name, I just start typing in name, right? So you're just kind of giving it this stuff. And of course, you might want to put the rev in there at the end, right? And I put in a double thing. It's checking for me. $rev. All right, so that's the SKU of the drawing, or the item itself, right? SKU, name, rev. So that's it. Now, if I were to go over here and, I don't know if I need to refresh this, but I'm going to anyway, just because.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Go over here, export 3 drawings as PDF. There's my drawings package. We're going to download, export the rules to the comments, and let's see what happens. All right, it's going to tell me when it's ready to download. Of course, we'll see the little download happen. While it's doing that work, I can do the assemblies, right? Only in Onshape. There we are. Download, store in a tab, assembly, throttle. We'll just go parasolid. I think I defined is what the rule was set for. I could have it go for all file formats, but I told it to be specifically for parasolid. So you can see I got 2 zip files now at the bottom of my screen. And let me move this window, my Finder window over here. So I'm using a Mac, so that's why this looks weird if you're a Windows user. There's my 2 zip files, right? Drawings package for throttle. If I double click that, look what I have here. Part number, name, right there. Go to the throttle. Maybe I didn't put rev in there properly. That's the only thing I'm thinking. Or I'm not doing it from a rev. That might be the thing too. Let's try that. I'm going to go in here. Actually, I'll go into the drawing. Yeah, the drawings one. So now I'm going into the drawings release. And I will find all of my released items as the filter. In this case, that's another way of filtering, right?
Yeah.
And I can export those drawings again. Download rules, PDF. Okay, let's see if that works. It is pretty cool to have all these rules, though. And this is like advanced stuff for file naming that you usually only get when you install a big old PDM, with lots of blood, sweat, and tears. And you just get this.
It's a nice render, too.
Oh, thank you. It's an oldie but a goodie. There we are. We got A next to them now. See that?
Yep.
So when I exported from the released version, I was getting the release names, right? But yeah, and to John's point here, it is multitasking, right? I'm able to do things. When I said only in Onshape, that's what John was picking up on, right? So I was able to do things in the background, right? I was able to publish multiple things at once and not have to wait for things. So, yeah.
Yep. Start a second drawing before the first one's even created. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, there we are. So that was kind of related to this. It was kind of like the same story vein, taking your released information, using all that metadata as a way to get the information pushed to people that need it, right? So I like it. I'm really a big fan of these workflows that use the system and give you some consistency, right? All right. All right, this one will come up for anybody that's into surfacing and advanced modeling. Certain things like loft and boundary can sometimes switch an edge from a nice arc that you defined it as to a spline when you actually pick the edge of it, and that's sometimes not good for multiple reasons. One reason is just a simple measurement, seeing what you have in front of you. But there are other reasons for surface quality and surface deviation and things like that. So, see you later, John. We now have an easier time picking up on the original analytical curves, right, on things. So just, it doesn't work in, I don't think, every single situation, but I think try it out. You might see some differences. The geometry is still obviously the same. We're just picking up on some, we're exposing some better information, that we can get to now. So, all right, now we're
here we go.
All right, yeah, here we are. Yay for drawings. Drawings on drawings improvements, right? So let's get right into it.
Juicy drawing improvements.
Juicy. When creating or editing section views, you can now exclude parts from, in this case, being broken out for clarity. All right, let's go to a drawing where I can do that. We'll just go over here, go to the main, because I was on the rev. That's why I was not able to edit. All right, there we are. So, broken out section. Why not, right? This is a beautiful one for a broken out section. Yeah. And I'll just kind of go through here, through the center of the butterfly and out to here. For the depth, I wanted to go to the center of that, up in the top view. And now, exclude from cut. I don't want to cut through this piece of sheet metal right here. Or the spring. Yeah, you don't want to cut through springs.
No.
And I'll say, okay. We should see the result. Just like that. There we are.
There it is.
Maybe we'll, maybe I should update that to not cut through the screw there as well.
Yep.
So let's see. How would I do that? This is the first time I've tried. Let's see here. I didn't know we had an order. That's pretty cool. Oh, here we are. Edit hatch
there it is.
section. That's probably gonna. Oh no, that's that. Let's fix that anyway. We'll just in case you haven't seen this interface, you can change the hatch patterns and scales and all that. Maybe you just want a solid cut through that particular piece or region or whatever. But there's got to be a way of doing this. Let's go to view properties, render mode, view simplification. I wonder if it's in Rory's video. Let me see. Broken out section. I bet if I go to the section property somehow.
Yeah, I bet.
There's got to be a way. Align section view it works with as well. All right, let's try one more time. Just double clicking, view, explode, display state, render mode, simplification. Not there. Edit section. Ah, there we are. Edit section is what I was looking for. My goodness. More coffee. So now edit section, I could exclude the screw as well, right? I probably don't want to cut through the screw. There we are. So that is a good thing. We're able to have much more control over broken out sections, aligned sections, things like that. Things like partial section view edits as well. There used to be a limitation where you couldn't drag the arrow in from its association point, meaning if I play this, you can now edit. You don't need to hear me twice. Just you can See that those two little blue dots that were there? Those were the original points I drew the line through in reference, so it would stick to it. But now I can drag it interior
Nice.
to it because I only needed to see section DD for that region. Now auxiliary views, I always used to hate these in school when I was drafting. I don't know why, but we support multiple formats much easier now. So like the ISO format for looking like you can see the way the A looks here.
Yep.
Right here, kind of looking at that angle normal to. That is the ISO kind of European method for showing it, right? ISO format. And now you can, instead of showing it with that format, more of the ANSI format, you can go into your auxiliary views area and change this nice button here to a ISO looking view arrow right there. Pretty easy to do. Just right in your drawing property. Set that in your template, set it and forget it. And you won't have to think about it again.
Yep.
Obviously, you can set all the styles and everything, prefixes, anything else you want. You can, set this in the template. So every time you put in one of those views, it would say view label suffix something angled view, right? Auxiliary A angle view, right? So a lot of cool stuff that's being automated here. If you're making auxiliary views, this is the best system I've seen. Anyway, min-max tolerances for those situations where you need to show that is a tolerance type, right? Let's play the video here. Let's pick a dimension. It's just tolerance type like anything else. Min and max are there now, so you don't have to type that in after the fact, and it will work with your all of your downstream, if you're exporting an inspection list for the inspection reporting, first article inspection and stuff, that way by putting it in as a tolerance, it'll support, all those workflows instead of like just typing in, generic text. Speaking of more European enhancements, this one, I'm so happy that we did this because this is just the way things are in certain parts of the world, right? You use decimals, you use commas for a decimal, and it's been a long time coming, but it's here. It was a difficult problem to solve because of the way we, feature script works and everything, but it's here now.
Yep.
So you're going to be able to just type in a comma as you put in your dimensions, right? And that could be your default setting, of course, in your user profile. But now we can say this is 105.5 millimeters by putting in 105.5. So there you are, 105.5 millimeters. It's there. So you just go into your account settings. Here's David Nguyen for his first video. Congrats, David.
I thought it was pretty clever that we used a European sounding voice for this video as well.
Yes, very clever. Very clever. But yeah, so this is a lot of people are just ecstatic about this because most of their other programs, if they're using commas, the muscle memory is built in, right? It's I know they're right next to each other on the keyboard, mine anyway, but
there was a comment to that effect on the forums this morning. A gentleman was hoping he could get rid of the habit of using the dot instead of the comma. So
yeah. There's been some other subtle things that creeped in here into this release for UI, for the better, I think. Just makes the flow better, less mouse travel, makes things more obvious. One of them is the share, label, and delete UI. So if I go back to the top of the screen to my main documents page, you notice I'm getting these little hover symbols now appearing where I can share this more easily, trash it just as easily, or label it, right?
I'm hoping that the trash icon gives you a second chance.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
And it even shows you the details and everything like that. So there's other things too relating to this that are really cool, actually relating to the trash, believe it or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's show you. like if I wanted to go into a folder where I have a bunch of stuff, let's go into my library under, this is my PCB Studio library of all the parts that have been coming in, right? So here's some Samtech connectors, and I'm able to pick a bunch of things. But let's say, well, first of all, notice what's different here on the side. As I go into this folder, as I made multiple selections, we have 7 selections, and it's showing them here. And let's say I accidentally picked this Samtech connector. I don't want to get rid of that, right? And that one. That's
nice.
It's easy to kind of see that in a list like that. I can easily label things like, I know these are purchased parts, so I might as well label them as purchased, right?
Yeah.
Or I can create a new label on the fly. PCB. These are personal labels for my personal data management, right? You have the company's data management, right, that you're in, right? And then like in Gmail, like when I manage my Gmail, I put labels on all my Gmail messages for like, this is for home, this is for work, this is for whatever, right? The work doesn't need to know about that, and my wife doesn't need to know how I label it, but it's how I like to label things, right? And that's what labels are about in Onshape. So that way I can just say I'm now looking for anything relating to PCB or electronics or purchased items. These are all, just quick labels that are meaningful to myself. But now let's just go back to that electronics folder where I was selecting a bunch of stuff. The other thing that would happen when you try to delete, I'm going to send the trash, but not actually hit the OK button. It would fail if you didn't have permission to delete one of those items. Like, let's say you had permission to delete, 5 out of the 6 or something. It would stop because one of them didn't meet that criteria. But now it'll tell you, right? So it's much more intelligent. We got these details here. We got the labels here. Sharing is now even, why export something if you can share it?
Yep.
So, I would hit the share button just like that, and it would.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite of the 3 new icons there.
Yeah, it's like sharing is caring. Just hit the button, give somebody permission to see it, view it, or remove sharing just as easily by going to that icon as well. So you can also see as you select things, you're seeing the labels over here. You can collapse that list if it's in the way. Search for labels, right? Filtering it once again. So it's all right there. You can see your sharing settings for anything, by the way, as you show the share panel.
Oh, wow.
As well, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Right. That's been there, for quite some time, but now it's kind of more correlated.
Well, it wouldn't be the first thing that's been there for quite some time that I just realized we had. So,
all right, Richard. There's a lot to Onshape. I've just been hanging around here for 8 years now. So. All right. What's next? Let's go to our improvement list. Anything I was forgetting there? No, I think that's it. Other very nice things are like when you move one thing from one place to another using the Move To screen, it's now presented in alphabetical order.
Nice.
Right. So we did something like that in the last update too, just to clean things up. So this will make life easy when you're cleaning your document up, moving things from one document to another. We already talked about the multi-tab export, which I find to be great in the situation when you actually need to export something. Onshape has a great EDU program, Richard, doesn't it? We have so many people using it in schools around the world now. And our EDU plan for the for schools that buy the EDU Enterprise, they get these dashboards so the instructors can see what's going on, right, with their students, and they can use it to submit their tasks. Here we can see all the classes, that an instructor has access to, and how many assignments are in here, how many members of the class, who's in there, who's doing the most work, right, for each of the assignments. So very easy. We're making it much easier for educators to use Onshape as their curriculum of choice And these improvements are coming fast and furious to all the dashboards. So we're seeing so much usage in this around the world. It's great. Onshape mobile. So if you have Android or iOS, you can now create publications.
Nice.
Right? You could use them before, but you couldn't edit them, create new ones, right? So it's like now it's the full story, right? You can take your iPad out and start a publication. And what is a publication? Just to remind everybody, let's say it's the intersection of a version controlled item at a specific moment in time for a specific reason. Like I'm sharing this publication in this one right here to do a design review for my particular bike design, right? So I create a design review publication. I name it the sprint that we're working on. Like, let's say we're doing agile scrums and things. Yeah, I'm just going to say this is the Sprint 106 design review meeting, and I'm creating a publication for that. I add all the stuff, revs that we're interested in talking about for this release, and we can comment on it. We can, do follow mode. I mean, let's see if I can, I'm going to play the video because it's going to take me a while to hook up my iPad and stuff. But you just create it like any other document. You give it a name. Right, so there's my Sprint 106 for my bike design review, and I'm going to start adding all the versioned items that I want to this. You can insert PDFs, you can insert inspection reports like I'm doing here. You can find all the drawings, and see we're just building up this list of things that we want to look at. So once we build up the list, we have this all here in one document. We can share it with who we want to share it with. We can do the live follow mode. We can do all the things that you would expect to do in an Onshape document, except we're in this kind of safe publication where everything's set to the exact versions and items that we want. That's nice because now we have a historical document of record for that design review. Any comments or instructions in that middle section where we have the markdown text field, you can type in there for the meeting notes. You can point to things with the comments. And this is a record of everything that's happened, right? And you can share it, unshare it. It's a really nice way of working, I think, for sharing. It gives you more of a structured way of sharing, I think.
Agreed. I totally agree.
So fully supported on mobile now, which is fantastic. Another thing that's I wouldn't say fully supported yet. Let's say it the way it is.
Better supported.
Better supported. We can view configuration, and we've always been able to change configuration of stuff, right? So if here I have my iPad, and I have a configured cylinder here. Bore of 8-inch, 12-inch stroke, and it's at 0 degrees. So you can create configurations like that with 3, different fields, right? I'm changing some stuff, and we've had that ability for quite some time to make those changes. But what you didn't have access to on mobile with your iPad was how it was driven, right? Not knowing what those things are and where the rules come from. I can see, there's sketch 1 diameter for the bore, extrude 1 depth is that. And then I can kind of see that, and I can see the different positions, right? But even more importantly is the metadata properties that drive each one of the configurations, right? So if I go to the second tab at the top, configured properties, I can see if I have a 6-inch bore, 24-inch stroke, 0 degree position, we have part number 1, and we have part number 2 for a 7x18, and 8x30. We're getting part number 3, right? And Onshape's giving it that part number. I didn't have to type it in when I originally created that on the web browser, right? For each of the parts is getting that information, and I can see that now, view only, in here in the. So I'm seeing all that table information. Then it works at the assembly level as well. That was a part studio I was in. Here's the assembly. 9x35, and then the 9x35 has a certain set of criteria that builds it up. And then you have of course, your configured assembly properties right there with each assembly number. So that's the story there. So we can see configuration panel information now in iOS, which is very helpful for somebody like me that does a lot of configurations. And sometimes I just have my iPad with me and want to make changes, take a look. I can do that here. Another thing on iOS now is the sidebar that we added in the last update. Now supports the labels as well, because we did so much with labels in this release. We might as well
make sure everybody can see and use them.
Yeah, exactly. Then some really nice rendering improvements here. So Nacho put together a nice rendering here. Here's our resident 3D printing expert.
This release of Onshape.
Sorry, Nacho. I'm gonna mute you for a second there. But there's a new appearance in the library. Type in FFF there. 3D print thermoplastic, right? So you can see there's bump maps, textures, and then one that's been constructed to look like it came out of a MakerBot or something like that, right? So there we are. We just set the appearance, set the color the way you want. And this is the live rendering here that Nacho just did a recording of, and you can set the layer height if you have infill. It's just there for rendering, right? Just there to make it look like a 3D printed part. I mean, this is the part that you're going to print and you want to show it to somebody. You want it to look like the part. So it looks it's not coming through on here, but maybe if you see it here, it shows up much nicer.
Yeah, you can see those nice styrations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. It looks really nice. Really nice. So yeah, that's it. I mean, a lot of stuff in this release, a lot of quality of life improvements, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. I was also caught a little off guard. So yeah, it was it's always good to get the release early though. Then we can start working on the next release early too. Right. That's the reason, right? So no need to wait. Everything's done.
Yeah, and for me, there's no better way to start a Monday morning than a nice live stream with a new update, especially one with so many drawing improvements. That's just great.
Yeah, totally.
So thanks to all our guests for joining us again today. We sure love having you guys in here, and we like interacting. Hey, we're dropping another episode this week that I think people will be excited about. We've got some great guests. We're going to be talking all about LiveWorks 2023. We're all getting excited for that. And
if you haven't considered LiveWorks yet, it's not too late. You can still sign up. You can still get to Boston. Beautiful time to come to Boston in May. We have a lot of fun events that, if you're undecided, watch the next show on Thursday.
Yep, we've got some folks that'll help convince you that that's the place to be for sure. I'm really excited about it. This is going to be my first user conference in a long, long time, and I can't wait to get there and shake some hands and meet some folks and just have a good time.
I got to say, your shirt game's on fire today, Richard.
Yep, it's let's see. I don't know if you can see. It's one of my lucky poker shirts here. I guess I'll go ahead and
there you go. Full.
Give it a little stand.
All right,
You're going to stand out four suits on there.
Yeah.
Yep. World Series of Poker starts next month. Or starts later this month. So
all right,
we're all getting excited for that. So
excellent.
All right, everybody. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for us, would you? And then you'll always be notified for upcoming episodes. And once again, thanks everybody for joining us. Brian LaGrange, hadn't seen him pop in there.
All right. Nice to see everybody again. Thanks for making Monday morning special, and have a great day.